joined on Clarets TV with Chelmsford City manager Robbie Simpson once again for another monthly update. And there's a lot more to talk about this month. It's been a busy month for you, Robbie, in terms of re-signings and new signings. It's been all systems go, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been pretty frantic actually. We're trying to get our business done a bit early. I think. But at the same time, be patient. I think we've still got room for maybe a couple more. And I mentioned that there might be a couple of loan signings that further down the line as well. I think last year, one of the biggest things that not only us as players missed out on, but people in general, was to socialise together and to build a real bond as a team. And I think that's one of the reasons for trying to get a squad together early, so we can have, the month of July when we come back, really getting to know each other, and the first couple of weeks of August really to fine tune the way we play and the way we want to play, and everyone buying into that. And I think, I'm really excited to get the group together as early as possible. And I think the Edinburgh trip will help with that as well. Getting away and being with each other in a different environment will be nice, and get to know each other as people as well as footballers. Because a lot of the time last year, the players would turn up to train, ready to train, and then because of COVID rules, etc., they're to just get back in their cars and go home, and there wasn't much interaction and getting to know each other as people. And when you're new and you've built a new group of players, that's key, really. It's key. So I'm really excited to get players in and players on board early.
Okay, there's three sets of sort of signings you've made so far, really. The first one was sort of the youngsters coming through with Guy Norton, Tom Blackwell, Sam Kingston, Kieran Smith all signed on. And firstly, it's great to see more academy players coming through. And are there going to be any more coming through into the first team?
I hope so. Yeah, that's the plan. I think that the club have made it clear that they want this to be our identity now. So we want to bring through our own, and we want the fans singing "He's one of our own" when they do well. So that's the plan. And the four that you listed are extremely talented players that we see having the potential to be Chelmsford City first team players, whether that be this season, next season, or beyond that. We think that they've got the potential to be a Chelmsford City first team player. So we're delighted to have those players on board. And like I say, there will be more. Like I've already given lads that are in the first year of the academy a chance in the first team. So they're now moving into the second year of the academy, and we hope that they progress again and can maybe feature more for us. And we hope to obviously have a bit more of a pathway and a stepping stone in between the academy and the first team. So we hope to get that in place. Still, it's not quite there yet, and it might not happen, but we hope it happens. And if it doesn't, then there'll be other ways of doing it. But I think the pathway is now, the structure of the pathway and the football club and the vision is there, and now it's time to implement that. And that's Mickey and Elliot's job in the academy, and then my job, and then everything in between that, to be as good as possible at bringing our own players through.
Mm-hmm. And then the ones retained from last year, the bit more experienced players, you've got Ches, Isaac, Tom Raitt, who's now become captain, and Adam Morgan, and three excellent players who retained from last season.
Big players for us. All of them showed their value last season. I think Ches, the first one you mentioned, was arguably our most consistent and best performer in a number of different positions. Right back, right wing back, centre midfield, more of an attacking centre midfielder as well. He's got the football intelligence to be able to play in a number of different positions, and you always know he's going to be one of the hardest working, fittest players on the pitch. And he added that quality last year as well. His passing, his vision from his passing last year was tremendous. And he showed some real... I mean, to be totally honest, we signed him as pretty much a squad player to fight for a first team place last year, but he ended up being the first name on the team sheet. And that's all down to him and how he bought into the style of football we wanted to play and buying into the environment we're trying to create here as a football club. And then that brings me nicely onto Tom Ray, who really does show that in abundance. You know, he's a Chelmsford lad. He loves the club. He's got it inbuilt with him, this football club, and he wants to do well. Not necessarily for himself. He wants this football club to do well, and because of that, he plays well. And he dragged us through certain situations last year in games where we were behind. He was the catalyst. You know, if you think back to the Braintree game and the Billericay game, he was that person that was the catalyst for the change in our fortunes. And that's the reason
he turned into a left-footed David Beckham with his free kicks as well.
Yeah, I hope he could do a bit more of them. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, he's a real talisman really for the group, and everybody loves him. You know, everybody loves him because he's just him. And I can't speak highly enough of Ratey. And then Morgs. You know, Morgs has got undoubted quality. And I think if you saw the Morgs when I first started speaking to him, probably around this time last year, to the Morgs he is now, he's a completely different person. He's settled, he's secure, he's had known mental health issues. And I think that the football club has helped him really keep a lid on those, and he's happy. And Morgs is one of those characters that he's just infectious, and when he's happy, the group's happy, and it's a lovely trait to have in a person. And we're really pleased that he's back on board. His goals obviously were really important to us last year, and I actually had to think about Morgs playing in sides against us, and I was thinking, if he was in a team against us, whenever he got the ball, I'd be scared. I'd want him off the ball as soon as possible. And that's the trait he has. You just think something's going to happen when he's got the ball. And that shows in his goals and assists from last year. And we're delighted to have that in our team rather than against us.
Yeah, and he had his own sort of goal of the season competition, didn't he, last year? Some of his goals are brilliant.
I want him to score a few more goals like he did against Billericay, the headers from 6 yards. I'd like him to get a bit more.
And then Dara Dada. Probably people won't know much about Dara. Maybe
no, people won't know much about him, and to be honest, I didn't know much about him. But he got brought to our attention, and I put on a few training sessions for a few trialists and some of our academy lads, and then a couple of games behind closed doors. And he trained with us 4 times, and then he played in a game against Brentford B for us in central midfield. And after 20 minutes, the Brentford B assistant manager, Sam Saunders, who I used to play with, walked over to me and asked me who the hell that number 7 is. And it was obviously Dara, and asked his age, etc. And at the end of the game, one of their stats people came up to me afterwards and reeled off all the stats on Dara. So they were really, really impressed with him, and he had an exceptional game that game. And you hope it's not just a one-off, and I'm sure it's not. But in training and that, you can just see. And I've likened him to a player that was at MK Dons with me called David Katsumu, who was coming up through the ranks when I was there. And he got given his chance, and he's taken it. And he's been tipped to be a really, really big player, not only for MK Dons, but at levels a lot higher than the current level that they're playing at. And he reminds me so much of him, his mannerisms, his running style, his technique, his physicality. I think we found a real gem with Dara. I really do. And I'm really, really looking forward to the fans seeing him, because I think they'll really take to him and love what he's about.
And also we've announced some of our pre-season friendlies. We've got The ones that have been announced: Bishop Stortford, Haringey Borough, and Ware away from home, and also the trip to Edinburgh, which we've mentioned, to play Spartans, and then a home game against MK Dons. Probably the trip to Stortford is going to be interesting. With basically it's ex-Chelmsford 11. I think they can put out of Stortford now.
Yeah, I saw. I was really pleased that obviously Churchy, Jake Cass, and Gilesy have been sorted for next season. They're great guys, you know. They're really good guys and top players. You know, they could all play at our level. So Bishop Stortford are going to be really, really strong next year, and they're a good football club. And thanks to them for agreeing to host us again this year. And we look forward to that game and all the other games. Really, we've tried to get as a competitive pre-season as possible, with teams sort of either the level above, hopefully, or the level below, but strong teams in the level below, and mixed with a couple of games against sort of league clubs, and one potentially Premier League club, hopefully. So we've tried to get real competitive games, and and a lot of them. And one of the main reasons is we want some home games to have fans back. You know, we haven't had fans in the stadium for a long time, so getting used to that again will be key part of our preparation, and we can't wait to welcome them back and get a good vibe around the stadium. You know, with the Euro Village they've got going on and stuff like that. I think the Euros might kick on into early July, so we might not be there at the same time. But we really want to get a real vibrant atmosphere around the stadium right from the start, really, right from pre-season, and so we look forward to having them back and playing some games.
Okay, and also a couple of your old clubs have had great seasons. Cambridge United promoted to League One for the first time since 2002, and Brentford promoted to the Premier League. So I suppose it's sort of, it fits in with our sort of 10-year vision, because Brentford were in League Two in 2009, and Cambridge were 9 years as a National League club. So just shows you the project.
Two very different models as well. You know, Brentford, I was fortunate enough to be there when Brentford started their change in philosophy, change in identity, really. They, within a year of me leaving, I think they'd done away with the youth system and brought in the Brentford B setup, and that's really worked for them. But they've got the structure behind to do that. You know, they've got the stats people and employ lots and lots of stats people to enable them to recruit into their B team and then promote into their first team. And it's worked really well, and it's fascinating that model has worked, and fair play to them for sticking by it, even when there might have been tough times and people doubting that model. They've stuck to it and they've reaped their rewards now, and it was great to see them promoted. And Peter Gillam there, who's been there for so long, I was really, really pleased for him. And then Cambridge, you know, they're completely different. They've got a great youth model. A fantastic youth setup with lots and lots of foundation teams. You know, they're a real community club, and that's kind of more towards the model that we're trying to replicate. And you know, they had a very, very small budget compared to other teams in their league, bottom five, I would say, in League Two. But they've created an atmosphere and a togetherness at that football club in general, from top to bottom, from youth to the kit ladies to the very, very top at the chairman and the CEO, that they've got a real togetherness, and that's essentially fed through into the first team and onto the pitch, and that's got their rewards, their promotion. So two very different models, but both really successful. And I think we'll try and replicate the Cambridge way, really, with a lower budget, but try and create a real atmosphere and togetherness at this football club that everyone buys into and everyone's positive with, and hopefully that can feed through onto the pitch and results for the first team.
Yeah, and we know about their youth team because we've had Tom Knowles and Ben Warman on loan come through their academy, and both are good players. Yeah,
I've got close contacts there, and there's a couple of younger pros there that I've got my eye on. So watch this.
And finally, there's the sort of behind at non-league level, behind the scenes in the summer, there's a lot of sort of work that needs to be doing with, especially at our ground with the row and things like that. It's just a lot of just a thanks to the volunteers that have been working hard behind the scenes in the summer.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of that goes unnoticed. You know, when I first came to the football club, just noticing the brickwork out the front of the clubhouse, and then when I became manager, I obviously turned up early to a game once, and there were volunteers clearing the moss from that brickwork. And it's only then when you really actually realise it doesn't just, things like that don't just happen. There's volunteers that go out their way to make that happen, to make the ground look nice, to clear the row, to tidy up, you know, and to paint the changing rooms. It doesn't just happen, and players forget that sometimes. And I try and make them realise that, and try and make them realise that the effort that people go to make their job easier and to make it a nicer environment for them. And it's fantastic, you know, it really is, and we can't thank them enough. And it shouldn't go unnoticed. We should notice it, and we should point it out, and we should be really thankful to them and reward them. And the set of fans that did the walk, you know, to raise money, and I think they've raised nearly £10,000 now with a nice little injection from the owner, John Holmes, which is great. And it's things like that need to be spoken about by me, probably, because it brings the whole club together. It's a real, I want to create a real family environment where everyone's backing each other. And if people are going through hard times, we're there for them and bring each other through. And those volunteers and those fans that did that walk really replicate what I'd like to try and create at this football club. So big thanks to them. And we're noticing you, and we're really, really thankful for everything that you do.
Okay, Robbie, great. All positive it sounds. And we're only just about 5 weeks away from our first friendly. So it's coming around the corner very quickly. So
yeah, we look forward to it. We're back 1st of July, so for training. So we look forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Robbie. Great to catch up.
Thank you, mate.